Today, we will cover the process of the reapplication of a pink and white with tips, as well as going over how to add on specialized and unique nail designs. The nails here have been growing for about a month, and we will reapply the dipping powder as well as adding on several new designs. If you follow this tutorial step by step, you will achieve a beautiful looking set of nails using the Cachet Dipping Powder. First, you must use the Cachet hand sanitizer before you proceed onto the next step of the application. It is important to sanitize your hands and the client's hands before starting any process involving the Cachet Dipping Powder. After sanitizing the client's hands, start by using the 4X coarse carbide gently above the surface of each nail. This is to file down and remove the existing colored powder on the nail, keeping the nail tipped intact. File down as close to the nail extension as possible. Do this with every nail for both hands. After removing most of the existing colored layer, continue by using a fine sand band drill bit gently above the surface of each nail. This process is to clean the nail, remove shine, and pushes the cuticle up the nail so that the powders will adhere properly to the surface of the nail bed. Do this with every nail for both hands. Trim down and shape the nail tips to the desired length depending on the client's preference. Continue to brush off the nails from excess dust and powder. First, apply the prep. Prep, or also known as number 1, contains vitamins and nutrients such as calcium and vitamin E to nourish the nails and promote healthy growth. Apply the prep directly onto the cuticles around the area of nail growth. Today, we will be using the Cachet Medium Pink and French White for our pink and white nails. Before you start the dipping process, make sure you hold the containers like so. Flip it upside down once to loosen up the powder, creating a suitable consistency for dipping. You're ready to open the jars and begin. Continuing on, you will need the base coat or number 2 liquid. The base coat contains essential nutrients such as calcium as well as vitamin E. Make sure that when using the base coat to always pull the brush straight out of the bottle opening. This is to prevent drying and clogging of the bottle opening. Apply the base coat 2/3 of the way up the nail, and then dip into the pink powder first to create a foundation before starting the actual dipping process. Afterwards, apply the base coat 3/4 of the way up the nail. Dip the nail into the white powder gently at a 45-degree angle directly in the center of the jar to create a smile or curved line. bend the finger down and away from the jar while tapping to remove any excess powder. Dip the rest of the nail into the pink powder to complete the layer. The third time, apply the base coat all the way up the nail, making sure not to touch the cuticles surrounding the nail. Again, dip the nail into the white powder, making sure you are lined up with the first curved line. Remember to tap the finger away from the jar of white powder. Finish by dipping the nail completely into the pink powder. If you notice a small gap in between the pink and white, apply a small amount of base coat onto the gap and then dip into the pink powder to fill in the gap. Today, we will skip the ring and index finger for the purposes of adding on a design later in the video. Continue the dipping process for the rest of the nails. Again, remember to apply the base coat 2/3 of the way up the nail. And then dip into the pink powder to create a foundation. Afterwards, apply the base coat 3/4 of the way up the nail. Dip the nail into the white powder gently at a 45-degree angle directly in the center of the jar to create a French, curved, or smiled line. Bend the finger down and away from the white jar. Complete by dipping the rest of the nail into the pink powder. The third and final time, apply the base coat all the way up the nail, making sure not to touch the cuticles. Dip the nail into the white powder, making sure you are lined up with the first curved line. Tap the finger away from the jar. Finish by dipping the nail completely into the pink powder. Fill in any gaps as you see necessary. Finish by brushing off the nails from dust and excess powder. For this design, we will focus on applying 3 colors to the design: pink, white, and the pink G number 29 glitter. Apply the base coat 2/3 of the way up the nail, and then dip into the white powder to create a French or curved line a little higher than normal, making sure you have enough white powder to cover the entire area for the tip. You will cut the white with a pink cutter later in the video. Dip the rest of the nail into the pink powder. Apply the base coat all the way up the nail, making sure not to touch the cuticles. Dip into the white powder, lining up with the first curved line. Dip into the pink powder completely. Even out the gap as you see necessary. Using the pink cutter, cut away the white powder, leaving behind a small stroke or line of white powder. Apply the base coat onto the area that you have just removed, making sure to cover the entire area of the tip. Dip into the glitter, making sure you have enough to cover the entire area of the tip. Brush off any of the excess glitter. Apply a second coat of number 2 base coat. And dip again into the glitter gently so that the glitter binds well onto the nail. Brush off the nail completely to remove any excess powder and glitter. For the index finger, we will create a diagonal design using the white powder, creating a unique and eye-catching design. Proceed by applying the number 2 base coat 2/3 of the way up the nail, and then dip once into the pink powder to create a foundation. Then apply the base coat 3/4 of the way up the nail, and then dip into the white powder to create a diagonal angle. Remember to tap the finger away from the jar. Finish by dipping into the pink powder. Once again, apply the base coat all the way up the nail, making sure not to touch the cuticles. Dip the nail into the white powder at an angle, matching the first layer. Complete the layer by dipping the rest of the nail into the pink powder. In between the pink and white, apply a small amount of base coat and dip into the pink powder to even the gap between the two colors. This finishes the design portion, making sure to brush off all excess powder and glitter from all the nails before moving on. Continue by adding on the dry coat, or number 3 liquid. Apply it around the cuticle first, and then the rest of the nail. Make sure you have enough liquid to cover the entire nail bed. After the application of the dry coat, wait for approximately 30 seconds to 1 minute before applying on the base coat, or number 2 liquid. Start by applying the number 2 base coat on top of the nails, making sure not to touch the cuticles. The number 2 base coat is used to protect and seal in the applied powder. After the application, wait for approximately 10 to 15 seconds before moving on. After adding on the base coat, file down the nails to the desired shape and size requested by the client, at the same time cleaning underneath the nails as well. After filing down the nails, use a very fine drill bit to smooth out the surface of the nail bed. This is to remove any bumps or ridges on the nails. After smoothing out the surface of the nail bed, buff the top and the bottom of the nails to smooth out the free edge and remove any unwanted bumps on the nails. After buffing, brush off and clean the hands from dust and powder, and continue on to spray the cachet alcohol to sanitize and clean the surface of the hands and nails. Wipe off completely with a clean hot or dry towel, making sure that the hands are dry and clean before moving on to the next step. Before adding on the dry coat or number 3, we will add a decorative cachet thread onto the index nail design. Using the number 2 base coat, apply a thin layer from one end of the white powder onto the other end. Carefully place the cachet decorative thread directly in the center of the 2 colors, holding it down firmly. Keep the thread in place for approximately 2 to 3 seconds to ensure that it is completely attached before moving on. Apply a layer of dry coat or number 3 onto the nails, sealing the free edge of the nails. Make sure that you have enough liquid to cover the entire nail bed. After applying the top coat, trim off the excess thread attached to the nail as close to the edge as possible. After, apply the glossy top coat or number 4 liquid. Make sure that the first coat is applied on quickly so that the brush does not dry out. The second coat can be more detailed, covering the entire nail bed. Make sure that when adding on the top coat to seal the free edge carefully. This is to ensure the longevity of the nail. Using a fan or by air drying, let the nails dry for approximately 2 minutes before moving on to the next step. After the top coat has dried, continue by applying the Cachet Cuticle Oil. The Cachet Cuticle Oil contains essential nutrients such as vitamins A and E. Brush the cuticles of the nails only. This process is to soften the cuticles and promote healthy growth, as well as providing nutrients to the nails. Remember that with the Cachet cuticle oil, always to massage upwards towards the finger and not towards the nail. After finishing up the last step, your client now has a beautiful set of nails using the Cachet Dipping Powder. Using the applied methods, you can achieve the desired look using the pink and white set reapplication with tips and design. For more information, visit us at www.cachetdp.com or call us at 561-358-0026.